Legends are received with incredible admiration and respect for getting to the top of their craft. But sometimes there are skilled people that are overlooked. Today, I'd like to talk about someone I find to be incredibly inspiring, but overlooked in his field. I think that Cody Schwab is an absolute legend in Super Smash Bros. Melee. He's often met with people rooting against him or people that are simply indifferent because of his behavior and his playstyle, as well as the character that he plays. Cody has stories of having been rude and abrasive, but I find that he's always held himself accountable and has shown incredible growth. As of the last few years, he's had such a positive impact on the people around him. His fellow competitors constantly talk about his sportsmanship and how uplifting he is. I would like to talk about my bias, but I was about to quit Melee, and Cody made sure that I stayed. Because in 2018, Jigglypuff was at the top, and my character was universally hated and seen as a shortcut. And I reached out to Cody because he constantly practiced with a Jigglypuff player to get his perspective and see if he felt anything different. And he told me that because he plays who's seen as the best character, he gets discredited. But he said he made it his mission to become so good that people can't look at his character and discredit him. And he inspired me to do the same. At this point, I was an absolute nobody. There were no Firepuff 12 near rest memes, but I think this is a testament to Cody's character, because he just reached out to me just because I DM'd him and poured his heart into making sure that I stayed. And while these are my biases, I think this paints a great picture of who Cody is. Even though he's been abrasive in the past, he's constantly reflected and made sure to become a person that inspires and positively influences the people around him. To this day, there are people that see his behavior and don't necessarily vibe with it off the bat. But I do think part of it is the world we live in. We live in a world where it is difficult for someone with ADHD or autism to come across with their intentions seen for what they are. So Cody might talk about someone's skill in a very black and white way, or he might feel excited about something and people perceive it to be awkward or weird. But despite all of this, Cody's still trying his best to this very day to understand how people feel and continue to become a better person. On top of this, he has some of the unluckiest breaks you can ever think of. Cody is someone that's dealt with physical abuse, sexual abuse, didn't have a place to sleep in, was gaslit his whole life, away from his passions, and even away from a productive career because the people in his life didn't agree with him. He never had the consistent love and support from people within his family until very recently. I think considering all of this, it really paints context as to why it was even harder for someone like him to talk to people in a manner that, they wouldn't perceive as rude, especially back in the day. But despite all of these hardships, he's continued to push and persevere. He's had some of the worst luck with sponsors. Cody is someone that's been top 2, number 1 last year, but his sponsors have always failed him. His first sponsor fell apart because they were caught in a scandal. His last 2 sponsors ran out of venture capitalist money. And his latest sponsor dropped him because of budget change. But despite all this, he talked about how he might start an esports company and he wants to do everything he can to make this work because Melee is a passion for him. And I find all of this to be incredibly inspiring. When it comes to his gameplay, he plays Fox, the most common character, and everyone talks about how Fox is somewhat of a shortcut or at least somewhat easy to play. But until 22 years into the game, until Cody became number one, we never had someone play only Fox and become number one. And I think that's incredible. When people watch his gameplay, they often talk about how he doesn't have the pressure sequences that Mango does, or he doesn't have the flashy combos that Moki does. But not everyone does things that are eye candy. Cody has incredible timing mix-ups that, while it's not something that we can immediately appreciate, especially when we're lower level players, it's refreshing and it adds so much to the game. We often take it for granted that Cody can beat Marth, but people gave up. Fox players gave up on fighting Marth until Mango showed us it was possible, and Cody does it on a consistent basis. Cody is someone that has flipped the Jigglypuff matchup around. So even though he plays the quote-unquote best character, he has completely changed the game. And I think it's inspiring that despite the indifference or the straight-up hate that people feel towards him and the terrible luck that he's faced in life, he continues to persevere. I think Cody represents perseverance, and he is truly one of the greatest inspirations in my life.